Rivers trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Pod Street Blues Podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Pregame.
What's not to love?
Woo!
What is going on, everybody? Good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Pod Street Pregame. I am John, and I am here with my good buddy Matt Casey. What's going on, my friend?
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you guys.
Dude, before we get started, I don't know why I'm the only one that's bothered by this, and we never get any comments, but in the intro, isn't it wild that, that the voice sounds like he's going to get ransom for a kidnapping?
I mean, I assume it's Derek's voice, so it matches, you know? The guy with the mustache. Hey, Mushliam, get on in the van.
It's like when he was getting ready to record the intro, he was like, there was that one time I was really hard for cash, and that thing helped me out. And he's like digging through his drawer.
Right. It's like the voice from Scream. It's,
Your child is safe for now. You will find her under the bridge. Anyway, welcome again to the Pod Street Pregame. We are doing it this morning because nobody wants to talk about this kind of stuff on a Friday night. Matt Casey was busy getting weird, and I was busy trying to get sleep.
Yeah, I watched a documentary on like JFK, like new information that came out. I was getting really weird.
Oh boy.
Never has there been a more middle-aged thing to do than sit there and drink wine with your wife and watch a JFK documentary.
I was on Amazon looking at book titles that were like for kids. There were book for kids, but they were like secretly dirty. That's what I ended up doing. Somebody put something on Twitter that was like hookers and blow save Christmas. And I had to look it up, and then
I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yep. All right. We are really off track already this morning. So tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers are back in Philadelphia. They are playing the Ottawa Senators. The Senators are 9-17-1. We are going to get into how that record is a little bit deceiving considering how they've been playing recently. But, grand scheme of things, they're not a great team. On the road, they're 4-8-1. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They lost their last game. But Philadelphia Flyers also lost a game they should have won, granted, in a shootout against the Montreal Canadiens. And I think that's kind of where we need to start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were all scared that one of these games this week was going to be a trap game. And sure enough, Montreal was a trap game. And, to see a team like Montreal, who is not a good team, they were without Gallagher. They have Keith Primo's kid in there in goal, right. Who ended up playing really well. That was a game that you had to win. And the first period was dismal. The second period was better. Third period, I thought we dominated, but then somehow they snuck one by us. And the moment that killed me was, I think it was Giroux had like a great wraparound chance in the third period.
Right.
And if we had netted that, it was 3-1, with 6 minutes left. Like, I like those odds. Instead, it went the other way. And just put a nail in my hand anytime we have a shootout. Like I would rather get, dinged to the cross versus watch us do shootouts anymore.
There was one moment in the game, and I don't want to spend too much time recapping the game, but I can't remember if it was 1-1 or if we were up 2-1 at this point. But JVR and Max Willman are like right in front of the goal, and JVR has a pretty decent scoring chance on his own. Max Willman, right? You get the puck cleanly to him. He's got an open net, but it's Max Willman. JVR decides to pass it to Willman. Willman completely whiffs, misses the net. And I remember looking at that point and going, we lose this game, I'm going to look back to here and go, this is where we should have scored a goal.
But, it's the long-winded way of saying, hey, we fell into that trap game. Yes, we got a point, which is better than not getting a point, but that's the last place team in the division. Like, you need to get 2 points out of that. Fast forward to tonight, we're seeing something similar. You're seeing an Ottawa team that has not played well throughout the whole, as a whole. However, like, if I was going to choose a game that was going to be the trap game, it was going to be this one, because they took Tampa to the woodshed like a week ago, like 4-0.
Just to cut you off, Tampa Bay 4-0. Then Florida, they beat them 8-2. And then their last game, they lost to Tampa 2-1.
Right. So, I mean, they're playing. They're playing.
Right.
The other thing, and I don't know, like, how I feel about this. I don't want it to get political or anything, but like the fact that maybe the Flyers saw no fans in the stands in Montreal, and like, we're hearing rumors that the NHL may shut down next week. Like, I hope they come out and they're like, oh man, like, we remember how brutal that was. Like, let's come out and put a show on. For me, it's like with the Flyers, it's all about the energy and the competitiveness. And you just didn't see that in the first period against Montreal. We were lucky to be down 1-0, and I want to see that tonight.
Right. I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? Crucial first period starts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This team, if they live and die by their first period play.
Right.
If they come out lifeless in the first, most likely they're not winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that worries me is, like, we talk about Montreal as a trap game or Ottawa as a trap game. Montreal had, what was he, 19?
Yeah, 18 shots in the first. Yeah.
Right. And against a goaltender that we really should have beat up on.
Mm-hmm.
We had 0 primary scoring, and then you look at Ottawa, who's playing better than Montreal. Like, I'm legitimately worried that we lose this game because Montreal was a game that we really should have won.
Right. I mean, I can see it that way. My hope is that they were like, slapped back into reality. And it's so funny how, this fan base, we win 3 in a row against, Vegas is a decent team, but we beat Arizona, then we beat New Jersey, and people are all of a sudden like, okay, like, so if we make the playoffs, and then like we lose to Montreal, and
burn it down,
blow it up. It's like, you bipolar psychos, like, cut it out.
Right. Well, and I think people just are really tired of this team being middle of the road, and I think that that's what we're going to eventually be by the end of the season. I don't think we're as bad as our 10-game winning streak, but I also don't think we're as good as a legitimate playoff team.
Right.
And if we make it to the playoffs, which I think is a huge if at this point,
right?
We're looking at a first-round bump, because I really don't see us beating any team 4 games before they beat us 4 games.
Right.
So I see their frustration, but like, there are some moments that you can take away and go, okay, we look better than what we did during that AV 10-game losing streak.
Sure.
There is certainly moments in the offensive zone or on the power play where I'm like, all right, you know what? We didn't cash in, but we had opportunities. And you're not going to cash in on most opportunities.
Right. There was a span in the third period the other night where, I mean, it had to have been like 3 minutes straight of us just in the zone.
Right.
And, you like to see it. Again, it needs to result in goals eventually, but, that kind of play, like, is encouraging. The fact that it happened in the third period, versus falling off in the game, I guess is encouraging. But, looking forward to tonight, look, good for Jackson Cates. Is it Jackson Cates?
Yeah, Jackson Cates. Yep.
Good for Max Willman. I actually think Willman he was arguably the most notable player, even beyond his goal. Like, he was cruising the other night. Good for them. But as everybody has said, they can't be the primary scorers. If we're getting a third or fourth goal from those guys, awesome. I'm like really concerned that the top line in particular of Kutz's line just, they just they weren't there the other night.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Sean Couturier, man. Like, that, we need more from our top line center.
Right.
I'm never going to say that this guy, isn't a valuable piece to the Philadelphia Flyers, because he certainly is. I mean, the guy can play in all situations, but you need your 1C to produce more offense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he has, I don't have his stats in front of me, but he has one goal that I can remember as a one-timer against Jersey, I think.
Right.
And like that was kind of the first goal he's had in a while.
Right. And there's just, I mean, you can tell when the puck's on a stick, the confidence just isn't there.
Right. And I think, Derek and I both fell into the trap of picking TK as our like player to watch the last couple games. He's been arguably invisible as well. There's been like moments here or there, but I need to see more out of those two guys in particular.
He's somebody too, and I think that this is a bigger conversation, I think, for, our main show, but he's someone where I'm wondering if we're starting to fall into that ghost trap where it's like, Travis Konechny was a bigger player to us because we needed him to be at that time, but he was never going to live up to those lofty expectations.
Right.
And now he's kind of playing to what the player he's going to be, which is simply not what the Flyers need right now. But we go on and on and on about how we need more from this guy. We expect more from this guy, but he's not ever reaching it for a sustained period of time where it's like, okay, maybe he's just not that player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a bigger problem. But
yeah. And, switching back to, the other thing I'm hoping to see tonight is better team defense just in general. You go into a game the other night up 2-1 going into the third, you got to be able to close that down. And it was kind of a lucky goal, I guess, from Montreal. But looking at Ottawa tonight, they have one of Tkachuk's, Brady Tkachuk.
I believe it's Tkachuk. You are the pronunciation master, by the way.
It's just not important to me. There's only so much room up here for stuff, and having to learn these together. Canadian farm boy names is not up there for me.
I believe he's I think he's American, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
Just put that out there too.
All right, checking me all over the place here.
Honestly though, I think the thing that I need to see is this team. It's so obvious when they start to go into panic mode. Like throughout the game, it's like whenever those high pressure moments start to happen, they revert to mistakes, right? They've been playing really, really well when they're all close together. Simple passes, breaking out of the zone. They're not stretching anything, but you can tell when that starts to break down because all of a sudden it's just like, oh no, we don't know what we're doing.
They do the lob pass into the neutral zone, and you're like, stop already, stop.
Right. Or just shots from the dumbest places. Like you look at that power play. I don't keep going to the last game, but I do think it has to do with tonight's game too. But you look at that power play, the 3-on-3, right? I mean, just shots from 4-point land in the NBA. Like it's just what do you think is going to happen here?
It was so clear that they've never practiced a 4-on-3 power play. I was looking at that. I was like, God, just move the puck faster. Like, what are you guys doing, man?
Right. But let's kind of put a nail in this, right? The Flyers win, Matt Casey, if.
I say the Flyers win if we get 2 goals from our top 2 lines.
Kind of stole mine there, buddy. That was 100% what I was going to go with, too.
Hey, that's what you get for being a nice guy and let me go first. Figure one out now.
No, but the reality of it is, right, that's going to be the theme of the season. If the guys who are supposed to score can score, and then we can look at those Jackson Cates and Max Willman goals as more of like an insurance, we're in a good place.
Yep.
Right? I mean, and I think to kind of piggyback off of that, we need to be able to take advantage of poor goaltending. And Ottawa is a team where goalie is their biggest weakness. I think they lead the league in goals against, and not in a good way.
Yeah. It's like over 3 goals a game or something they're letting in.
Right. So that kind of goes hand in hand where their primary scorers need to take advantage of crappy goaltending.
Yep. Totally agree. Who's your player to watch? I'll let you go first this time.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Sean Couturier, man. I need to see Sean Couturier. As far as somebody a primary scorer who I wanted to see tally in this game, you know, and maybe he gets the Pod Street bump, kind of like Cam Atkinson did a few nights ago.
Right.
But he's somebody that I need to see starting to earn that 1C role this season and putting in some goals.
Got it. I'm going with Rasmus. I've liked his play as of late, and I think you're starting to see he and Sanheim work a little bit better. I think this is one of those games where I think Ottawa is just an annoying team, and I think that he thrives in these like physical, chippy games. And once you see the Flyers get physical, and it's usually led by Ristolainen, you see a different team. You can see the competitiveness level coming up. And given the fact that, you know, we have 2 D pairings that are essentially hobbled because of the Ellis injury and Braun having to play up and then Connaughton playing in, Connaughton's been fine. I don't really have an issue with him. But, you know, I think that middle pairing now of Sanheim and Ristolainen is like the one that really needs to deliver. And so I'm going with Ristolainen and from a physicality standpoint.
Love it. You know what I decided? I'm not going to ask you where to find you on Twitter anymore, because I did get this point, right? Like, people know where especially if they're watching this on Twitter.
Right. It's like, oh, where can I find this guy on Twitter? Like, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. So screw it. I'm not doing that part. That part's stupid. But anyway,
you butchered it the other night. That's why you did. That's why you're not.
Well, that's what happens, right? When you screw things up, you don't try better.
You just don't do it.
You just don't do it. Come on now. It's simple science.
God, I can't wait to go parent right after this and tell him that.
Right. You're looking at an elementary school teacher. I write it on the board every morning.
If it doesn't work, just don't try.
If it doesn't work, scrap it from your repertoire.
As the Flyers have taught us, effort is overrated sometimes.
Right. Oh boy. So, yep. I mean, you can find the Pod Street Bullies show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Spreaker, YouTube, all the fun places. And if you find us on something we've never heard of or shouted out before, let us know, because I always like coming up with new names. But until next time, we'll see you.
Go
Bye
Flyers.
now. Woohoo.